Hey guys, Mike Zawatsky with Unique Photo. Today I'm going to be talking about one of the newest cameras out there, the E-P3. So what the heck is the E-P3? Well, it's actually Olympus's latest venture into the professional mirrorless camera market, whatever that means. And as you probably know, Olympus has enjoyed quite a bit of success with their consumer series of pen cameras, such as the EPL1, EPL2, and the new EPL3. But what about the E-P3? How does it stack up against some of the new advanced mirrorless cameras out there? Let's take a look. And the first thing I'm going to tell you is what I like about the camera, because there are quite a few things that are really nice about the E-P3. The first is that it's extremely well built. It can take a beating, it's made out of all metal, and in my opinion that's something that's been kind of tossed aside with a lot of other cameras that come out today that feel plasticky and cheapy. It's really easy to use and has a lot of flexible and customizable buttons and controls on the camera, and the front grip is actually removable. If you want, and like the smoother feel of the camera and the metal, you just take this grip off, or there's also some new interchangeable grips if you want something that's a little bit beefier. There's also the dual control dials on the back, where it's really good for the people out there who want to shoot in manual mode and change shutter speed and aperture independently and not have to do any crazy button mashing or menu digging to change those settings. Another big thing is the resolution on the LCD. It's vastly improved from previous pen cameras, something that they had been criticized for, and Olympus has done a really nice job improving the resolution and the color accuracy of the LCD. And since you're always using the LCD unless you have the optional viewfinder, it's important to have a high quality LCD on this camera. Also has a new touch focus shutter and review feature where you can use the screen on the back with your hands. And I have to say myself personally, I hate LCDs on cameras, but Olympus did this right. Instead of putting just a giant HD TV on the back of the camera and getting rid of all the buttons, they did the smart thing by making an optional feature. So if you're a hater like me, you can just turn that feature off. And like all other Olympus cameras, of course, it features in-body image stabilization, which is really great because it makes the lenses smaller since they don't have to have a stabilizer in them. And all you freaks out there that have your old, dusty, radioactive, fungusy lenses that want to use an adapter to put them on these cameras for some reason, it's nice. They instantly become image stabilized lenses. Olympus finally also added a built-in flash to the E-P3. All of their lower end consumer cameras, pen cameras, had built-in flashes, but for some reason none of the EP cameras did. So kudos to them for doing it. And of course, like all other pop-up flashes, it's not the greatest quality, but you can turn it down in camera or add a better flash with a hot shoe. There's also the classic Olympus art filters built in the camera, and you can use those for both stills and video, and that's nice for those who don't want to spend time on the computer doing post-production. Along the same lines, the JPEG quality straight out of camera is excellent. So if you're not going to shoot raw and you don't want to spend too much time editing, you can just send your JPEGs off to print and be very happy with the quality. And also upgraded video quality. Instead of 720, it's now 1080i AVC HD video. But for me, the biggest improvement is a performance improvement, and that's the autofocus. Vastly improved autofocus accuracy and speed, especially with the new 12mm f2 lens. Now, of course, if I'm going to be fair, there are a couple things that aren't so great about the camera. The first is the outdated sensor. It's a tweaked version of the original 12-megapixel sensor for the EP1, but I've taken a lot of pictures with this camera and I don't see it in the files. There's a small improvement in the ISO performance and in the processing and noise reduction, but again, the fact that really old DSLRs still beat the EP3 in terms of dynamic range by about a full stop, and these DSLRs I'm talking about are 4 or 5 years old and they have about the same ISO performance as the EP3. So it's something where you're really expecting a little bit more, and the EP3 is a camera I really want to love, and in some ways I do. It's out of a lot of the more recent cameras I've used, this one was the most enjoyable to actually physically use, and that's something for me which is probably half or even more the experience of using a camera beyond the image quality. And it's finally what the pen series was supposed to be: fast, well built, easy to use. But while the image quality is nice, I think there's just a little bit room to improve, because I do appreciate the limitations of a 4/3 format. It's smaller than the sensors in other DSLRs, but to me, Olympus really hasn't pushed that limit yet. There's some new competition out there, and they're really improving image quality, so Olympus just has a little bit of room there to improve. But a nice thing is that there's two new lenses, like I mentioned before, the 12mm f2, and there's also a nice portrait 45mm 1.8. So those fast lenses can help you compensate for the mediocre ISO performance. So who the heck is this camera for? If you already have a big DSLR like a 5D Mark II or a D700 and you just want a nice small walk-around camera that still takes high-quality images and you can still get shallow depth of field with, E-P3 is a good choice for you. Or if you're somebody with just a little point-and-shoot camera and you want something more advanced but the bigger form factor of a DSLR turns you off, E-P3 is a really wise choice. So overall, I think this is a great camera with just a little bit more room for improvement. Be sure to check out our other reviews at blog.uniquephoto.com and on our YouTube page. This is Mike Sawatsky signing out.